Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another PBALC Literacy Speaking live stream. Today, we are featuring and are excited to welcome author Elisabeth Felten as she discusses her debut novel with Gemma Media called Kidnapped. We are so happy to have you today, Elisabeth. Why don't let's get right into it and introduce yourself and tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thank you for having me, Alba. I'm excited to be here and exciting to share this book. So I'm a professor, associate professor of business at DeSales University, which is in Center Valley, Pennsylvania, kind of about halfway between Philadelphia and New York City. And I'm also the founder and director of a program for adults with intellectual disabilities. It's a college program, and we just wrapped up our third academic year this year.
That's amazing. That's amazing. um, so tell us what inspired you to become a writer. I know read a little bit about you and that you obviously work with adults with intellectual disabilities and autism. Sometimes we are asked to serve those type of individuals, but unfortunately, there's not a lot of services available for them. So I'm excited to hear that that you have a program at your university.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had this desire to write ever since I was little, and I've had, just something nagging at me to write, but I never really did anything about it. And then I started this book club. It was during COVID. Like you said, there's not a lot of services, and the services that were there ended during COVID. So I was sort of thinking, well, what can we do to get everyone together? So I started a book club. We're in our sixth year. I can't believe how fast it goes. But our sixth year of book club, and I was finding that I couldn't find anything to read. You know, my participants would get angry. They were all adults, and they would get angry if I brought in a kid's book. But when I looked at some of the adult books, the language was more difficult, or the topics weren't particularly appropriate, or a lot of our participants get upset if someone dies in the story and such. So to find a story that actually worked was really hard. And, after a couple of years of looking, sort of banging my head against the wall, trying to find something appropriate, I said, well, maybe I should just write it. And so I joined an MFA program here at DeSales University because I don't know the first thing about writing fiction, and and sort of dove right in. And I'm really blessed that my first attempt at fiction was picked up. I'm really grateful to Gemma for publishing Kidnapped.
Yes, absolutely. So, before we get into more of the book and the characters, can you talk to us a little bit about what do students with intellectual disabilities or autism, how do they struggle with literacy? Because like I said, we're not equipped to help adults with intellectual disabilities or autism, and we always struggle being able to refer them to services because there's just not many out there, and there's not many programs out there or books like you said, or literacy I guess literacy services for individuals like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the books are the start, right? I mean, if you think of the basis of literacy is the more you read, the better a reader that you are, and the more your literacy grows. And if you don't have books available to you to read, then that's really difficult to improve your skills. So, I'm hoping that maybe I can inspire other people to write. And the style is called high low, high interest, high interest, low vocabulary. So, an interesting topic, an exciting story, but the vocabulary is manageable. So I think, certainly whatever we can do to increase the exposure to books. But then also, I think is really just, people interested in serving this community. There's such a need, and there's such, I think, a hunger for education. That's what I'm at least finding through the program that we started. There are students, they want to go to college, they want to continue their education, and there's really not anything out there. So I think it's really just the interest and the motivation, and to have people just get out there and kind of start doing it,
Mhm.
because the number of people with autism and intellectual disabilities is growing, and so there's absolutely a need there. So I think anyone who sort of has that interest should go for it, and just whatever their interest is or their skills, open it up to people with disabilities. And they're a wonderful population and very forgiving. So if you make a
Mhm.
mistake, occasionally I pick a book that they all hate, but they are still come back the next month, and I think they're just really grateful for the opportunity, to participate in life, like everyone else.
Yeah, and it's like it's not in they're really not any different as adults with limited literacy because um, I know Gemma Media started their company because adults that were struggling with literacy, I mean, they don't want to be feel degraded by having
Mhm.
to read children's books,
Yeah.
right? And so adults with intellectual disabilities or autism are the same. They enjoy reading, they just don't want to be like, I don't want to read children's books. I want to be
Right.
able to read an adult type book. And I'm so glad that authors like you are creating more books for Gemma Media so that we can provide those for our adult learners as well.
Yeah, and Gemma is really a champion of that too, really pushing, these type of books out there. Um,
So tell us now, how did you develop your characters? How did you come up with this character of your main character in the book?
Yeah, so Sam is the main character, and his
Mhm.
brother Nick, and then there are some other people who are like living in the group home and such with him. And I mean, I think he just sort of came to me. I mean, most of my
Mhm.
characters in my writing, they kind of start, right, but then as I write them, they come alive, and I learn more about them, or I spend some time thinking, well, how would Sam do that, or how would what would Sam think about that? Or, and so I think it's a little bit of research, like, so what would someone do in that position? Or, but I can't say that I have a fully formed character when I start.
Uh-huh.
I sort of take it where it goes. But in general, I wanted a strong character. I mean, in all of my books, I'm really looking for the characters to be strong. No damsels in distress in my books. Um, to show that someone who looks like that is in a no-win situation still has agency, or to show the ways that they still have agency. Um, and I wish I had a better answer, but he just sort of came
Well,
about.
it's even like with your adult learners, it's like to show them, like, even if you have a disability, you can still be strong and get out of any situation, right?
Definitely, definitely. And from books, and turn back to motivation again, though. I mean, I think the library is the great equalizer, and
Hmm.
books take you wherever you want to go. And so I think that's why
Hmm.
it's so important to me that everybody has access to a book that that is for them, and that they could read.
Absolutely. And they can see themselves in the book, right? So, is there any additional research that you did to write this book? Did you take any recommendations from your adult learners, or
Um, well, they're my
did you
beta
take
readers,
pieces of?
right? And I have my daughter, for example, she is a beta reader, and so she always reads things for me, and she circles the words that she doesn't know, so I
Hmm.
know, like, I either need to rewrite it, or um, or I have to explain it more so that they can understand from the context. But I did a ton of research because I know a little bit about people living with cerebral palsy, but not a lot about, like, how do they shower, how do they go to the bathroom, different. Again, I know a little bit about accessibility and different software and such for speech, but I didn't know about how do you play video games. And
Hmm.
so I watched a lot of videos, and I'm very blessed that there are so many influencers out there who have cerebral palsy who are willing to share their story. And I watched a lot
Okay.
of videos to really understand, and I hope that I captured their life accurately,
Hmm.
and how they go about their daily lives. I also had to research Saginaw, Michigan, because I've never been there. So I want to make sure that it was accurate as well.
So, Did you create the character Sam from somebody? Did you create him as pieces from different people that you know that are in your life?
I would say more experiences as opposed to people, actual people. So I used to run a baseball league with
Mhm.
adults with various disabilities,
Mhm.
and knew a lot of people who went through the guardianship process, and certainly our community and the struggles that they've gone through. So I would say it was more of their life experiences as opposed to it being a particular person that Sam was modeled off of.
And what would you like people? What do you hope is the biggest takeaway that you want people to take away from your stories or this particular stories?
I write a lot about injustice, and certainly this story has a lot about injustice in it. And I
Mhm.
think one of the takeaways that I want is for people to not give up, right? To keep going, to no matter how bleak, horrible the situation looks to be, or that there's no solution, is to still get up every morning and to still put one foot in front of the other,
Mhm.
and just keep going. And just never to give up. But on the flip side of that, I think, and what I also really tried to show in this book is that individuals can be that change that people need. That
Mhm.
like a saying that I always quote is, an unanswered prayer is someone who didn't step up to the call. And I think so much we think like we can't help, or we feel like we're paralyzed, or um, you know there's nothing we can do to help a situation, and there's so much that we can do. And you'll see it in the characters in this book, right? Even
Mhm.
little things like bringing cookies, a smile, asking how someone's day is, giving a compliment. That can be the difference between a good day and a bad day for someone. That can be the difference for someone who was ready to give up and now is willing to fight on another day. And so I think that's really what I want to get across to people is, be that change. It doesn't have to be big. It can be really small things, but you could be the one who could change somebody's life.
And also, just because maybe you have limited literacy or you have a intellectual disability or any other kind of disability, that doesn't mean that you can't be successful
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and you
Yeah. And
can
that's
get.
one, like when I created Sam, I wanted everyone to see Sam has a life and has a good life and he's happy
Mhm.
with his life. I don't want people to pity Sam. He has a disability, um, but he has a life, right? And
Mhm. A
that
very fulfilling life.
exactly. Yeah. So
And so, have your adult learners read the book?
it did. So
What did they think? What were
they
their reviews?
Yeah, so far the reviews have been good. So our first book club, it's a summer book club, so we do a different book for June, July, and August. And so I was a little hesitant to have it be my book, but I wrote it for them, right? And so yeah, they really liked it. A lot of them said that they could relate to the characters on many
Mhm.
different reasons. Whether it was the struggles that Sam faced. He has some challenges with his brother, so a lot of them with siblings were like, "Yep, know that." Um, and yeah, so I was really excited that I got some positive feedback, and from their parents as well, their caregivers,
Uh-huh.
who were maybe assisting them with reading the book as well. And so I was glad to hear that. I have some people in my circle with cerebral palsy, so I was a little nervous. I really wanted to do right by them, and
Uh-huh.
I at least it seems like that I have. So I sure hope that's the case.
Well, you're doing some great work out there.
Oh, thank you,
We're
thank you.
so appreciative of people like you, Elizabeth. Well, can you read a selection for our viewers now?
Yeah, sure. I'll read chapter one and a little bit about chapter two, into chapter two. All right, so chapter one. I was kidnapped, legally. I was in my room, listening to my book on my iPad. My aide gave me a shower and fed me breakfast. I have help doing these things because I have cerebral palsy. That means my body doesn't move the way I want. But other than that, I'm just like other people. I read books, I play video games. My favorite band is the Rolling Stones. They're old, I know, but their music makes me think of my parents. They played them a lot when I was a kid. I live in a group home with men like me. We were going to a baseball game in the afternoon. I was wearing my favorite baseball shirt. Our team, the Great Lake Loons, were playing the Dayton Dragons. Game day is the best. I love eating hot dogs and drinking Coke on a hot summer day. Games are more fun when you are with friends. I was in my room waiting until it was time to leave. Loud noises came from the hall. My aide yelled, "Sir, please wait." The door to my room opened fast. It hit the wall with a loud bang. Nick, my older brother, walked in. I jumped. It took me a minute to see that it was him. It has been 10 years since I saw him. "Hi, Sam. You're coming to live with me in Minnesota." He grabbed my wheelchair and turned me quickly. My iPad smashed to the ground. The sound made him stop and look around. He grabbed my trash can and emptied the bag on the floor. He put some of my clothes into the empty bag. Then he rolled me out the door. It happened so fast. My aides just stood there. They didn't know what to do. Nick is my legal guardian. He makes the rules even if I don't like it. Because of cerebral palsy, I can't speak, but I have a lot to say. As Nick rolled me out of my house, I hit the no sticker on my wheelchair. No, no, no. But Nick is my guardian. I can't stop him. Chapter 2. We've been driving for 4 hours. Minnesota is 700 miles away from Saginaw. Nick hasn't said a word. I don't know why he's moving me. I love my home. Michigan is where we grew up. There is nothing for me in Minnesota. We stop for gas and Nick leaves me in the car. The summer sun bakes me like a bug in a jar. I yell, but no one hears me, or they just don't care. By the time Nick comes back, my head and throat hurt from yelling. He puts a bottle of water in the cup holder. Cold water drips slowly down the side, and there it sits, teasing me. Nick speeds onto the highway. I try to calm myself. I listen to the hum of the road. But when we change lanes, I fall over. I'm now stuck with my head against the window. It smacks the glass with every bump we hit. Hot, thick air from the one open window burns my face. My ears buzz. My head feels dizzy. Help me. Please, someone help me.
Well, you'll have to get the book to figure out what happens next.
What happens with them?
Well, it's so funny whenever he said, I can't speak, but I have a lot to say. Most of our adults are the same way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah. And it's frustrating, right? When you
Mhm.
can't be heard. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, what other projects or books are you currently working on, or is this one was exhausting enough?
Yeah, no, I actually have 2 more in the process.
Awesome,
So
awesome.
yeah, I have 2 that are thrillers, kind of like this, and I have one that's a love story. And I'm hoping to have, they're both part of my thesis for my MFA program. So I'm hoping to have a final draft due this fall of all 3 of them. And with any luck, some publication hopefully in the spring.
So, have you enjoyed this whole process of writing a book,
I do.
or has it been a little overwhelming?
Definitely. I go through phases of I am not a writer to maybe I could be a writer to this is terrible to maybe this is okay. So I call it the various stages of grief of being a writer. But I love creating characters. I love creating words and worlds that that didn't exist. I think that's just the kind of the
Hmm.
simple concept of you know Sam didn't exist before I started creating him, and actually, back to my book club is they kind of want a sequel about Nick, the brother. They're like
Uh-huh.
they want to
What's
see
his
yeah,
backstory?
what's going to happen. So I don't know. That one isn't in process, but you never know.
And so, do you find you said that you're kind of writing another thriller, but also kind of a love story. So, which one do you like better, the thriller or the love story?
Oh gosh, I don't. I think I like them both. I mean, I think I tend more towards thriller because I like that fast pace, especially for a high-low book and for someone who is struggling with literacy. That suspense that keeps them going, right? If
Yeah.
someone who's struggling to read, um, the last thing you want is for them to have to be sludging through, a story, or kind of not be that exciting, or this is kind of boring.
Hmm.
Like, if it's already hard to read something that is this boring isn't going to, encourage you to keep going, right? To keep doing it.
Exactly.
And so I think I tend more towards the thrillers, to keep that engagement up, and hopefully the enjoyment, and that want to, when they put that book down, that they miss it, and that they want to read the next book. So that's what I think I'm,
Absolutely.
I'm hoping. So I do think that probably more thrillers will come out of me than more love stories. But I have a few love stories that I have to tell.
Awesome. Well, where can people get more information about your books? I know we'll post the Gemma Media site, but can people get your books where anywhere where books are sold?
Yeah, you can get them online. You can get them directly from Gemma. Support indie press, I would
Hmm.
say. And
We recommend Bookshop.
yes,
So,
definitely. So Bookshop is actually what I was going to recommend, right? They really do some good work there. So, but all the places where you typically get books, it's available on Kindle as well. So
amazing. And so we always ask our authors, because we love reading and we feel like reading is an essential part of adult literacy and learning. What are you currently reading, and what are some recommendations that you have for us?
Sure. So I'm currently reading There by Tommy Orange.
Hmm.
So it's a story of our Native community on their way to a powwow. Really eye-opening, and an important read, I
Wow.
think, in this day. My book club, our next book for August, is another Gemma author. So Rebecca Rolland, who wrote Velocity. I'm really
Uh-huh.
excited for my group to read that, and they're excited too. And I think I would say anything by Jojo Moyes. I just end up,
Uh-huh.
always tearing up, and can't put those books down. They are just real, emotion, focused books. So they're
Yes,
my
she's a great author. Would like to be able to feature her, but I don't know we won't be able to ever. That would be possible. But so can you share also how, if people want more information about yourself, about your class and your book club, if anybody wants to join your book club?
We would love that. We would love that. So the my website is just sort of a landing page right now, but theplaceprogram.com. So
Okay.
PLACE, theplaceprogram.com is where you can at least fill out the form and contact me that way. Um, and I can, send information. We have summer course. So I'm doing a summer writing course. For adults with intellectual disabilities and autism. Our writers camp is just started, but we have another one starting on Thursday. And then we
Okay.
have some online classes starting in the fall. So if there's anyone who is interested, you're welcome to reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn through the Place program. So I would love to connect with anyone who's interested in working with this population. They're a great group. I'm very blessed.
Well, wonderful. And we'll share all those links on the comment after the live. Elisabeth, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and hopefully we'll be able to feature you next year with your new books.
Let's hope. I would love that. So it was nice meeting you, talking with you, Alba. Thank you for having me tonight. Today, sorry,
Absolutely.
during the day. Hi
Well,
to my book
absolutely.
club. My
Yes, absolutely. And make sure and get her book. We'll share the links to the Gemma Media and to Bookshop, to be so you can purchase Elizabeth's book, and make sure and check her out on social media and her website. Her book, like I said, is available anywhere books are sold. We want to thank everybody for watching today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. See you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.